Hello, everyone, and welcome down to episode number 101 of the Down South Photo Show with me, Brendan Waits, here in Ocean Grove, Victoria, Australia. And the guy chuckling away on the other screen, or in your other ear if you're listening to the show, it is Cam Blake in Hobart Town, Tasmania, Australia. Hello, Cameron.
Hello, Brendan. I so
How
want
are
to
you
start this
this
again
evening?
because you, once again, have been inappropriate before the recording starts and said something highly inappropriate.
Well,
Just as I was about to reply, you go in and say, "Hello, everyone. Welcome down."
well, that's what we do here on the Down South Photo Show.
And that's what you do.
This is true. Thank you very much.
You're a man child.
Let's kick off the show by thanking everyone who joined us for the live show on Monday night. That was a lot of fun. We've had a lot of positive chit chat and feedback about that. So thank you everyone for that.
It was good. Yeah, it was very good. We have, I think 300 people have watched it, which is great.
Very cool.
So yeah, it was very cool. And I think at any given time we had probably 50 or 60 people watching, which is great.
Yep. Nice little cohort.
It was a good little cohort, which is pretty much what this little community is about, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it's
Just
growing by the day. Thank you for the 703 subscribers to the YouTube channel. If you are not a subscriber, the subscribe button is right there. Go ahead and push it and then tickle our bell next to it if you like.
Why is no one? Why are we still not at 1,000? Can you give me an answer? I don't want to hear this bullshit about the first 1,000's the hardest. I want to know why we're not there.
Because the first 1,000's the hardest.
Excellent.
That's just facts. We deal in facts here on the Down South Photo Show.
I don't think people are telling their friends enough.
They will now, I'm sure.
Yeah. Now that we're giving away $1,000 for every subscriction. No, we're not.
No, we're not doing that. Cam might, but I'm not. I'm definitely not. Yeah, we're into the second 100.
Yes,
episodes, Cameron.
Yeah, we've raised the bat. Now the next 100 is probably going to be the hardest 100.
Now we've got to do the difficult second 100.
We've got to do something. We've got to just keep it fresh, and which I think we can. I think we can keep it fresh. We're pretty switched on, the two of us.
Definitely. The good thing is the industry that we are involved in is evolving constantly. So I don't think there's any reason why we can't continue to evolve with it. We are open to suggestions from people. Like we say every week, we're not running out of ideas. We'd just like to know what you guys want to hear. And
didn't we have a Facebook post that had like hundreds of ideas?
Yeah, we did.
Why are we not following that? That was great.
I don't know. I'm sure we'll find it at some point.
I'm looking for it right now. No, we'll never run out of ideas, but we're always open to new ideas. That's the
right.
thing.
That's right. And we want people's input. So, well, I guess what we like to do off the top of the show is background. So,
yes.
Would you like me to start with mine this week?
You go first. Yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
I'll go first. I'll cover myself. This is quite similar to the background from the live show, but this is 13th Beach, which is one of my all-time favorite spots to take photos and to play golf just quietly. Yes. That's the steps that are just along from the main car park at 13th Beach. It's one of the few steps that the first section of it face the sunset. And that's right. And then one of the few that actually have a curve in it. Most of them go straight down. Yeah. So great little spot there for photography. And on any given night, you can get some really cool shots with some awesome foreground subject with those old stairs there. I had some nice surf that night. There's a couple of surfers out the back you can see paddling in towards that wave. They're having just caught a wave in. So awesome spot for photography where I live. Love it.
I always forget onshore and offshore breeze.
Yes.
Onshore, does that mean the breeze is blowing from the shore out?
Onshore means it's blowing towards the shore. So here on the southern coast, it's a southerly. That's an onshore breeze.
Right. Okay.
Offshore breeze is what the surfers like because it can hold the face of a wave up.
That's right.
Offshore breeze, it normally makes for cleaner waves and you get the offshore. So a northerly, would be an offshore breeze here where I am. Because I face south.
Yep. I always get confused with that because people go, "Oh, it's an offshore. We better go down and do stuff." I'm like, what's that mean?
Yeah. Onshore means it's blowing towards the shore.
But I'm not a surfy, so I wouldn't know.
Neither am I. Someone asked me the other day whether I because they worked out that I live in Ocean Grove and they said, "Oh, you must surf." I'm like, "No, I must not. I surfed twice, the first and last time.
I can't imagine your calves getting up on a surfboard.
There's a lot there to get up on a wave. The waves would want to be pretty big, and the board would want to be pretty big too.
You'd need like an hour of a wave.
The one and only time I attempted to surf was up when I lived in Noosa, and my friend loaned me what he affectionately called the boat, but it was basically a Malibu, which was look, if it must have been 11 feet long. It was massive. And I paddled out on it and turned it and got on a wave. And then I stood up, but I didn't sort of stand like a surfer. I literally just stood there and, of course, fell off in about 2 seconds flat. And as I fell, the board hit me in the head and all but knocked me unconscious.
Good.
So, good experience. Yeah, so I dragged it back to the beach and put it back in the car and went home. The end. That's my surfing career. All done.
I've never been surfing. I used to boogie board a bit, or bodyboard, or whatever you want to call it. Down at Wilson's Prom, used to go down there a fair bit and do a bit of wave surfing, but never got up on a surfboard. So it's not my thing. I can't skateboard. So if I can't skateboard, I can't bloody.
Don't have a lot of balance, but look, it must be something pretty awesome because there's plenty of people around here that absolutely love it. A few of my very good friends included. I actually like it when I go down and I see my mates out surfing because then I get the camera and get nice shots of them. Happy days. Yeah. Your background, Mr. Blake.
My background, going on from the theme the other night, I think I had Franklin River. Or Franklin River. So speaking of surfboards, these are the whitewater rafting equivalent. They'd be
a lot of fun in the surf.
Yeah. Well, they do surf a bit. They do crash. They float. They spin. They tumble. They do it all. So this is the equipment that we use to go down. So usually where there's 4 of us that sit in the front where that front bit of the orange is, and then the guides where they sit in the back. They've got their own little office at the back where they steer and help paddle a bit. So on these rafts, the guests, we're pretty much the engine, and the guide is the navigation system. So it's pretty cool. But they just make a really good contrast because you don't really see too many bright colors down there. So the red and the blue always makes a nice color against that sort of classic rock and Tassie forest color. So that was on our first night's camp at a place called Angel's Rain, which is these cave systems where you're under the cave, but it's all dripping down the front. So you're sort of like behind almost like a little bit of a waterfall when it rains, which is really lovely. But it's one of the first stops we do, and we camp under the caves. It sort of gets you into the mindset of what your trip down the Franklin's going to be. But yeah. Good spot, and it's one of the calmer parts of the river, so you're sort of in for a bit of a false sense of security. It's pretty cool.
I know we have a topic all laid out for tonight's show, but I think because we didn't do it enough on the live show, I want to deconstruct your trip a little bit. Do you mind if I fire you a couple of questions?
Yeah, here's some questions without notice.
They are questions without notice. First of all, what do you sleep on?
The ground. So beautiful. Pretty much the company that we go with, Franklin River Rafting, the Thermarest, like the normal self-inflating mattresses.
Yes.
They've got those, but they also have like a polyurethane or a polyester type of cover on them. So it keeps them a bit higher off the ground and also a bit drier and a bit more durable. So they give you a bit of shade cloth, which is about the size of a little single bed. You lay that down wherever you're going to camp, on the ground or on the forest or in the cave, where it might be. And then you put the mattress on top of that, and then you've got your sleeping bag. They also give you like a little bivvy as well. You can put your sleeping bag in the side of the bivvy. And we had pretty good weather on this trip, but even when it's rained, you just zip the bivvy up and you're dry for the night. And it's a very cool way. Like I struggle, I must admit, with the pillows. I've never been able to get the right pillow for any of my hiking and stuff like that. It does my head in. But on this trip, that was my only issue, but the rest of it was pretty comfortable. It wasn't freezing cold overnight. So we're pretty good, but yeah, pretty much sleep on the ground on these little mattresses.
Yeah, very cool. And you sort of choose your own spot where to sleep. Like you just sort of all spread out and pick a spot to sleep basically. Yeah.
Depending on where you are, there's heaps of different camps down there. This one I spoke about here, that was a cave system. We probably had 30, 40 meters of cave where you could all spread out.
Very cool.
There were some nights where myself, Tom, and Gordon, we all slept under one big tarp. So there's also tarps available if we're out in the forest. So you can either have your own little tiny TP tarp where you go set up wherever you want, or if you're comfortable sort of sleeping under a big tarp, you can have 2 or 3 people under the big tarp. So, but yeah, you get to choose pretty much where you go. It's really nice. You can actually you can really find some very cool little foresty bits or cave bits to sleep in. And before we've gone down, as other people have built up little rock beds and things that like even it out and stuff. So it's really cool. You get your own little bit of Franklin River to sleep in.
And I'm going to assume that the guides are aware of a high water mark. So, for example, if there's rain and the river's rising and all that sort of stuff, safety first.
Safety first is absolutely on this trip. I've been on a couple of trips here where the river has risen. Yep, or rose overnight. So we had one trip where the guides were up every couple of hours, moving the boats up higher,
Wow.
making sure everyone else was moving up higher. There was one trip I remember we're in further down the river in these caves, and I reckon I was maybe 10 meters above the water level in this cave. Yep. And I'm thinking, I'm fine here. They said, the river will come up overnight, but we're all good. And every hour on the hour, all I saw these head torches getting up and moving things in front of me. And I woke up in the morning and the water was about a 2-meter drop off my ledge where I was. So I was literally sleeping in the river, but I was like and truly safe, but I was up high. But the cave was almost overhanging the river.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, that's come up a long way. And then within about 3 or 4 hours after that, it dropped down. It kept dropping and dropping and dropping. So it's a source to sea river. So it runs out to the ocean every time. So it goes up and down quite quickly. But the guides know the river incredibly well, and they know what sort of rain causes what sort of rise in level as well.
Yeah, I also want to ask you, and I'm sure the listeners are keen to hear, exactly what camera gear you took with you on this one.
I took my OM1 Olympus.
Lovely.
And I actually took a different lens this time, which worked very, very well, I must admit. I took the little 12mm f2, which is a 24mm f2. It's a tiny little lens, so really compact, but it's very sharp. It's a very good little sharp lens. And I use that 90% of the time down the river. And I took a 75mm 1.8, which is a 150mm equivalent, just for anything getting close in or isolating stuff. And I also took my ultra wide Panasonic lens, which is the 8-18, which I use towards the end, but I use that 12mm most of the time. I smashed my little H&Y adjustable circular polarizing filter, the one that fits on all different lenses. I smashed that somehow.
Yep.
So I took those three. I took about 900 shots, and I used just over 1.5 batteries.
Yeah. Okay. So are you taking a little battery charger, or are you just taking a couple of batteries?
I took 3 batteries, and I took 2 little battery banks, and I didn't. I used 1 battery, and I think I put the second battery in. We were there 8 days. I think I put it on day 6.
It just blows my mind how efficient cameras have become on power management.
Yeah, and like I said, it wasn't freezing cold. I think that helped a bit. And on this,
of course, yep.
Yeah, and on this trip, we don't shoot. You're not shooting all day long because you're rafting. So pretty much the way this trip works, you sort of get up in the morning, have your breakfast, walk around the camp, get some nice early morning shots. We pack the boat. Hey, there's a sleeping bag. we pack the boat, and then we do our rafting and get to where we want to have. We might do some shots during the day at lunchtime and the breaks, and then we get to camp, get ourselves set up for camp, and then you got a few hours to walk around that camp, the new camp of the river, and take shots there. So you're not taking heaps of shots every day. It's sort of start and end of the day with a few in the middle.
It must be cool when you get to the end of the day, the end of that day's rafting, and you're at your camp spot for the night. And I would assume sometimes you would arrive at these places quite early in the day.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That sense of, oh, cool, I get to explore this area now, this new area every time. So
yeah, it is good. And like I said, there's heaps of campsites down there, so not always do you go to the same camp as the year before. But yeah, you're right. You get to a new campsite, you're like, oh, it's like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. We've got 6 hours. We can set up. They'll make us lunch. They set up their kitchen. You might have an afternoon snooze. You might have a bit of a rest. You might have a drink and whatever else. And then, as the light's starting to get nice at sort of 5, 6 o'clock, you're all right. Well, we've got this whole area to explore. There was a good spot, which is called the AREN'T, which has a beautiful stream coming down off Frenchman's Cap that runs through it. And it's also got this amazing sort of chasm of rock out near in the river. So you've sort of got 2 places you can really explore. And Jamie and I went for a bit of a walk up the little river and found some really cool little baby huon pines and all these different rock formations and different colors in the river. And the other half of a group are on the other side of the river shooting the AREN'T and taking shots of the caves and the chasms and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, you got plenty of stuff to look at and take a shot of. It's good.
Sensational. I think I could be quite easily talked into coming along on one of these at some point. Although
Well,
you
funny
said you might
that.
not do it again.
Funny you say that. There's a list being created. There is a
Okay,
list already being created about doing a trip
we'll
down there.
talk. We'll talk.
You're coming.
I might be. We'll see. I would love to. It sounds like it'll be.
I think you would absolutely love this.
Yeah, yeah, right up my alley. You reckon?
I think it puts you out of your comfort zone a little bit,
Yeah,
but I think that also makes you feel better about things as well. The fact that
yeah,
you go and do that. So yeah.
yeah. No,
See,
I'm
one
very
day.
very open to it. Very open to it.
Yeah.
Did you take any beer on this trip?
I took 8 ciders.
Oh, very good.
And after my little gastro mishap on day 5, I didn't have many ciders after that. I was only having one a night. That's why I just
Yeah.
thought I'd have with dinner and stuff like that. But I ended up giving a few to the guides. I'm like, I'm not going to drink these. And they're like, oh, we'll
Yes.
take a crack into they get. And
Absolutely.
so they loved it. So yeah, I took a little bit with us. A few people took some wines that they poured into plastic bottles.
Yeah.
One guy Gordon had a Powerade bottle full of whiskey.
Right. Okay.
He got through it. He did pretty well.
Nice. I think
So yeah.
if I do it, I would go alcohol free for the trip because that first beer after it would be the one. So
absolutely.
how many photos did you take on the trip, Cam?
I think I took about 900.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And out of that, I reckon I've edited maybe about 70.
And now, did you get some fresh stuff? Like, this is your third time you've done this?
No, this is like the 8th or 9th time I've been down.
Okay. So fresh stuff for you, or?
That was part of the plan that Tom and I had to go down here and try and get some sort of more fresher shots.
Yep.
It's hard not to get some shots the same because you can be quite restricted in locations where you are. But yeah, definitely I felt myself looking differently. There was I remember one night we were doing some shots at Newlands Cascades and we're walking up and down this river. And I'm like, oh, I've already shot that tree before. I've already shot that little gnarly thing. I've shot the river. And I actually tried to go into my Peter Dombrovskis thoughts and I was just sitting on the side of the river. There was everyone just scattered out. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to sit here for 10, 15 minutes. It's a beautiful spot regardless.
Yeah. And
I was just looking around like, now what would Peter have shot here? If he was sitting here, is there anything that he might look at that might have interested him? And I kept looking around. I'm like, oh, that could be pretty cool. And then I ended up taking a shot of this rock that was almost like a diamond shaped rock with a bit of water moving in the background. It's pretty abstract, but that's sort of what I did. I took some time and thought, well, let's just see how he might have thought down here. And it's going to sound really weird, but you do sort of feel a bit of his presence down there. Like Rock Island Bend is so popular and famous.
Oh, it's iconic.
Iconic.
Is iconic, yeah.
Yeah. And anyone that knows Peter Dombrovskis would have probably looked through his books and calendars and seen shots that have been from down the river. So it's really hard not to sort of feel like you're sort of following those footsteps a bit, which is corny as that is. And Tom said the same thing, and a few of the customers said the same thing. Like, we got to Rock Island Bend and the conditions were quite bright and sunny. It was a nice day. And I like, inside as an operator and someone who's taken the trip down here, you sort of feel a bit bad. You're like, oh, would have been good if it was misty or moody. We can come back in the morning and have a look from camp. But it's a bit of a shame that it wasn't perfect when we got there. But every single one of them, to their credit, said, you know what? That's fine. Like, that's
what it is.
That's the roll of the dice.
That's
the fact
right.
that we're standing here just looking at it with our own eyes is enough.
Which adds to the appeal of that Dombrovskis shot, doesn't it? Because that's the iconic shot. So everyone goes there and they want it. And let's face it, people want to recreate that shot.
Yeah.
But if the conditions aren't there, they aren't there. That's right. As you say, the roll of the dice, and you've just got to appreciate it for what it is, which is still an absolutely stunning part of the world.
Yeah. Well, the next morning, because you camp just down the river from there, the next morning's when when I got gastro, so I wasn't going anywhere. But Tom and Jamie decided to take off at 5:30 in the morning and walk. It's about, 400 meters up the river, back up the river. And you can get up there, but there's a real gnarly bit you've got to climb up and around the back of this mountain to get over. And it took them 40 minutes to get up there. And I woke up in the morning and you can look straight up the river. You can almost see Rock Island Bend. And I'm looking up there. I'm like, oh, it's foggy. It's misty. I'm like, you bastards. I'm like, you bastards are going to get a really good shot. I'm like, good on you. I've got my shot of Rock Island Bend, but hopefully they get it. and you could see the fog all dancing around on the corner of the river where Rock Island Bend is, and they came back and they were sweaty. Jamie hurt his foot. Tom had he'd done something else, and it was really slippery because it had been raining. It was like treacherous. They literally climbed up this hill. And I'm like, so you must have got a shot. And they're like, oh, all the fog was actually further up the river. It wasn't anywhere
right.
Rock Island Bend. So I'm like, oh, that's a bit of a shame. And then I decided to throw up in front of them. So that was good.
Yeah, great. Well, there you go. The sight of Tom normally would make me throw up as well.
Ooh, bitchy. True, though. He does have a face most people want to throw up on.
Yes.
We can't say that now. He bought us a slab.
True. Sorry, Tom. I take it all back.
We'll take it all. We'll edit that out.
Yeah, that's right. We'll cut that. We won't. That I won't.
Hey, did you bleep the thing the other night?
No, I can't. It's live. Remember?
Oh, that's a shame. I forgot about that.
Remember that live thing we talked about off air?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Our main topic for tonight. So thank you, Cam, for the questions without notice.
No, that's right. Good,
Franklin. It does sound absolutely awesome and on the bucket list for sure.
If anyone ever wants to go down there, you don't have to come with a photography group like I do. Like, we are the only photography trip that runs down there. We've got the exclusive sort of rights to that through Franklin River Rafting, and by the look of it, most likely we're going to run another one. Just when, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you can go down with Franklin River Rafting Company any day you want, and you can still take a camera and you can still go and experience all the sites that we've seen. They run an amazing service. They are easily the best on the river.
It looks that way.
It is, but it is an amazing experience. Like I said, you'll be out of your comfort zone a little bit, but if you don't mind getting a little bit wet and a little bit cold, and you don't mind sleeping on the ground on a mattress, and you don't mind a few mosquitoes and things like that, it is still one of the best things I've ever done, and an amazing adventure to go down.
Yeah, here, awesome. So I can't wait to maybe do it one day.
You've done the overland,
tick.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna do that again too. So
yeah, well, let me know.
You're coming.
Awesome.
Yeah, whether you like it or not. Our main topic for discussion tonight that we wanted to bang on a bit about is, and this has actually been something I've been thinking about a lot in the last 12 months in particular, is photography just getting way too expensive? It is getting expensive. Yeah. I think we will answer our own question. The follow-on question is why? Why is it getting that way? It's
stupidly expensive.
We are seeing cameras coming out that are, they're good cameras. They would want to bloody be for their price tag.
Yeah.
It just feels like the lower end of the market isn't being catered to with new gear anywhere near as much as it used to be.
No, that's right. And it's almost flipped on its head, hasn't it? Because years ago when we were working in camera shops, like the pro cameras were coming out maybe once every couple of years or something like that.
Yeah.
But there was always entry-level cameras or new twin lens kits coming out or this or that. But I was just thinking about this the other day on the river. Like, you worry about your gear and how much gear you take with you. I'm like, if one of these boats disappears in a rapid, there's tens of thousands of dollars worth of gear. And I'm thinking, how the hell did we get to tens of thousands of dollars for gear? It makes no sense whatsoever. So, it is getting way too expensive. And it's not just the cameras. It's like the lenses. It's the
you can follow a timeline for it, and there's no surprise. No one's going to be. It's not earth shattering. The mobile phone is the problem. That's what's driven companies to stop manufacturing entry level cameras, because the general public, and there is a bit of ignorance around this, the general public firmly believe that their phone is just as capable as an entry level digital SLR.
Yeah,
it's not. It just isn't. Okay, so there's an absolute gulf between the quality of what you used to be able to buy a twin lens kit for $1,500 versus a $2,000 iPhone 15 Pro, for example.
Yeah.
Yes, the iPhone has its benefits for sure.
Yeah,
and you can't get on Facebook on your camera, but it's
not yet.
That is the main crux of it, is that people have stopped buying these cameras because they're just happy to use their phone. People have sacrificed quality for convenience, and we've been the path of least resistance is to blame for this problem.
Well, I can attest that today because I was playing around. I bought a new iPad. Lisa took my old iPad Pro for her graphic design thing that she's doing, and I'm like, oh, I still wouldn't mind one for travel.
Yeah.
So I went and bought one anyway. So I was playing around in Lightroom on there, and I'm like, oh, I've got a couple of raw files from my phone when we were on the raft where we were moving rafts and portaging, but we didn't have our cameras out. So I was taking some raw photos on my phone, and I pulled it up on Lightroom. I'm like, well, within seconds, I'm like, this is shit. This is not a raw file.
You could tell straight away.
But straight away, I'm like, okay, does cool video, does cool effects, great as a compact camera, fantastic.
Yeah.
But it doesn't replace a proper camera there. So
no, it doesn't. And good point. Video, it's unbelievable. It is. It is a Hollywood studio in your pocket for video. But when it comes to the still image, okay, here's an iPhone 15 Pro in my hand. Those little lenses that you see there, folks, they are pathetic.
They're plastic, aren't they?
They are absolutely bloody pathetic. First of all, look how small they are.
Yep.
So all that light's got to come through that.
Yep.
For one, the elements are nowhere near as good as proper ground lenses that you get from even the kit lenses that you used to be able to get. The plastic kit lenses, they're not as good as that.
Yeah.
They fake depth of field.
Yes, they do.
Computationally.
Yep.
Which I get appeals for social media sharing and for Instagram, that sort of stuff. But if you want to actually do anything with your image and put on your wall, you've got to be really careful with which photos that you take, the kind of photos that you take. So I have a lot of people come into Camera and Photo. There's a plug for you, and they say, oh, I've got this photo on my phone. I want to make a big canvas of it. I always say, let me see it first.
Yeah.
I don't say, yeah, that'll be fine. They could show me that they've got the latest iPhone, but I want to see the image because it does make a difference as to what type of image. However, if you're shooting with even an entry-level digital SLR, no brainer. Yep, that'll work fine. The resolution is going to be fine.
Yeah. So the iPhone and the convenience of the iPhone has sort of cut out the entry-level camera. So that's in turn pushed up the pricing of what's left to buy. They've got pro cameras now, or semi-pro cameras. They're like, well, that's pretty much what's left on the market. So we're gonna like, I don't like, inflation's kicked in, and obviously we had COVID and we had all these other things, but prices were going up well before COVID and everything else happening. So and it's not just the cameras, it's like, Lightroom and Photoshop, the subscriptions of them have gone up. Memory cards are cheap, but they're still a bit more, or they're probably the only thing that's come down in price is memory cards.
Yeah.
And then you've got, anything to do with photography now. It's, when we used to say back in the day, oh, I'm a photographer, but if I'm a wedding photographer, just add another zero. Or if I'm a baby photographer, add another zero. We've done that to ourselves now, because now we're photographers. I want to buy a camera. Okay, just add another zero because you want a camera. It's gone out stupidly expensive.
Well, I would say, because these manufacturers, the big brands in particular, Canon and Nikon in particular, come Christmas time, we used to sell at Camera House, we'd sell even a twin lens kit for $900.
Yeah.
Right? We would sell 10 of them for every next model up.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. So you're exactly right. These manufacturers have lost all that cream on top that they were getting from let's face it, building a cheap camera. These cameras couldn't have, bare bones cost, materials cost, couldn't have had more than $70 US of components in them.
Yeah.
And they're selling them for $700, $800, $900, $1,000 for these twin lens kits. I understand that. And the benefit of that was it was getting people into photography. That's great.
Yep.
But that's gone now.
Yeah, the phone does that. The phone gets them into photography.
That's right. The phone gets them into photography to a point, but then you put an SLR in a phone user's a person who's brought up on a phone, you put an SLR in their hands and they just lose the plot. It's a chasm between, point and shoot with that little thing and it does everything for you. Yeah. Versus, so take an image with this, make an image with an SLR. Big difference, massive difference.
It's almost like if you refer it back to like car manufacturers, how cars have like an entry level Holden used to be this, and then it was that, and then all the way up to the top. The photography companies are just going, we don't need entry levels. We don't. No. We're just going to sell the BMWs and the Porsches and the Ferraris, and you're going to pay for it because that's what, that's what we're going to market
Yeah,
to.
well, we've got to build our margins back into high-end cameras. Now,
That's
this
right.
is why
Yeah.
you're seeing, Sony release, was it the A9 Mark III for $9,000, Cameron?
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
But it's got
what?
a global shutter. Big deal. It's not worth $9,000. It's like the Leica. The Leica that I had, that's a $14,000 camera.
Yeah.
Like, it's retarded how expensive that is.
It's a shame because people like us for years relied on entry-level cameras to get so people could dip their toe in the water of photography.
Yeah.
And the beauty of let's go back to, for example, what I think was the best. So let's look at Canon. Their best entry-level camera was the 700D by
Yeah.
a mile. That thing
Yeah.
was an absolute beast of a camera, but it was marketed at the entry level.
Yeah.
Well, it had, I think, at least an 18 megapixel lens sensor in it. But the best thing was you could upgrade lenses for it. You could put new lenses on an old body, and it was awesome. And you could then build your system around a very, very capable body, but you could build a real lens kit, if you like.
Yeah.
And then down the track, upgrade your body to the latest body, but have legacy glass. Well, now you go in there and you get this amazing body that you pay through the nose for. You can't put a cheap lens on it. If you put a cheap lens on it, it's like putting Tirana hubcaps on a Rolls Royce. It doesn't look right, and the image quality is no good because the body's so damn good. It's going to show up every single flaw in that crappy lens.
And
times have really changed.
And the other thing it's doing as well, from where I come from, is you get all these people buying these top end cameras who are, not trying to make them sound bad, but they're entry level photographers trying to come in with top end cameras, and they got all these. Like the other day at Kakadu, one of the customers had a R6 Canon, I think it was.
Yep.
And screw me backwards if I could figure out like the actual tracking system on that thing to track birds. And I've spoken to a few people again after this, and a few people on this trip who had Canon, and they're like, "Oh, that's absolutely off the charts. That thing, like, it's over engineered and over too much technology for the tracking." I'm like, it was ridiculous. I said, and like, I'm a professional, and it took me 3 days to figure out, reading the manual, watching YouTubes, just exactly what this stupid camera was trying to do. That's got to be detrimental to the progression of people's photography as well. Like, that's where the entry cameras were great. You put a kit lens on, you get into it. It's like buying your first car. You don't go and buy, like you say, a Rolls Royce to start with. You go and buy a bomb and get the feel of it and figure out how it works and what does that button do and what do I do if I go that way and this way.
Yeah, but more than that, like people, they don't, people don't go and buy flash new. It's because people have got no money, right? You start, you've got your first job as a kid. You go and spend your first paycheck on a tank of petrol to put in your heap of crap car. Well, that's gone now with cameras. That's all gone. And by the way, hello, Mr. Langdon. I'm sure he's listening tonight, and he is furious. He is absolutely furious at us. He's angry. He's the biggest Canon fanboy in Ocean Grove, and he's upset.
Who is he? Sorry,
Mr. Langdon. Pete, yay, Pete.
Pete Langdon. He'll get over it.
No, he won't. He won't. He's going to come in. He's going to hear this, and he's going to come in with steam coming out of his ears. He's just ordered a big canvas print off me, and he's going to want his money back.
So why is he going to get the shits? Sorry, I missed that. Why?
Because we pay out Canon too much. He gave me some feedback.
Oh, he doesn't like us paying out on Canon.
No, he doesn't.
Hey, you know what? Canon, I saw something the other day that they're bringing out with
That's
every
tongue in cheek, by the way. He doesn't actually care.
Oh, doesn't he? I was going to say, because every Canon that comes out now, you get a small cup of concrete as well. You can just harden up a bit, folks.
Yeah. It's just it's mind blowing where it's going, and it's really but this is where we can flip things around, folks. We're here to help on the Down South Photo Show. What can we do about this, Cameron? Well, I actually did something about it today.
We haven't scheduled any. We haven't rehearsed any of this, have we?
No, we haven't. But
was I meant to do homework?
there's this wonderful thing that is not new. It's called Facebook Marketplace.
Oh my God, what's that thing?
I know, right? And today I bought
another camera.
I bought an Olympus 7-14 f2.8 Pro lens.
Nice.
You remember that scene in American Beauty? It's the car I always wanted, and now I've got it. I rule. It's one of those moments.
All right, don't tell me.
Always wanted that lens.
Don't tell me anything, right? You bought that on the marketplace secondhand.
I did.
Have you looked at it? Have you got it?
No, it's arriving tomorrow.
Right.
But it's definitely shipped and on its way. And If the person I bought it off is listening, thank you for a seamless transaction. I appreciate you so much.
Did you plug the show?
No, he doesn't. Well, all you have to do is look me up and you'd probably see the show.
So
Now,
how much, do you mind if I ask how much you paid for it?
well, I know that they sell for 1,700 Aussie off the shelf, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. I got it for $850 delivered.
That's pretty good.
I'm
So
happy. I'm absolutely stoked with that price. Well, I think it's a fair price. It's look, and he showed me all the photos of it. I had a close look at it. It looked in really good condition. Of course, I won't know until I get my hands on it. That is the downside, sure. But, you know, for literally under half price on a barely used lens that I've always wanted to get. Yeah. So, you know, and just go on Facebook Marketplace and type in digital SLR and just sit back and watch the love come. There are so many awesome cameras out there that have lived in drawers because people bought them, the phone then took over, and they've never been used.
So I think that's one thing that can work for people is buying secondhand gear, because along with all these camera brands bringing out all these amazing top end cameras, everyone's so guilty of just changing gear over really quickly.
Gear acquisition syndrome.
Yeah, that one. So gas, isn't it? Gas syndrome.
Gas.
But there is obviously risk buying stuff online and buying stuff from Marketplace and Gumtree and eBay and all that kind of stuff. I must admit, in all my experiences, I haven't had any bad ones where I've bought something and it's rocked up and it's been broken or fungy or not what they describe. So most people, I say 99% of people are pretty good online. But yeah, do your research. Like, for example, that lens you bought, that retails for just under 2,000.
Yes.
So, and on Facebook Marketplace, there's a couple selling at the moment. There's one for $1,000 and there's one for $2,000, which says reduced. I don't think you're going to sell that one. Mate.
Interesting.
That is interesting. So, you know, with buying lenses and glass, you know, you got to be a bit careful. I would probably avoid buying something from the top end of Australia where there might be a lot of humidity, things like that. That's one thing I always try and avoid, because you might get fungi and humidity in your lenses from them being stored up there. But it is a good way to save money on that. Same with camera bodies. Like, you know, if we look at the same, we'll use Olympus as an example because that's what we do. Yeah. Like an Olympus OM1, if there's any new ones on there, I'm not sure.
I guarantee you there is. They'll be there somewhere.
Yeah. You know, you can pick them up. And that's the thing. People are always upgrading gear. They're always trying to move on to the next best and biggest thing, or they swap brands because their mate at the camera club says shouldn't use that brand, you should use that brand.
Yep.
So you can, you know, if you do your research, if you're in the market for a new camera or lenses, do some research about what they retail for and what the average secondhand price is for, and then have a look at all the photos that people put up and go with someone who's got a good rating. And then
if you are new to the show and or newish to the show and you're looking at getting a digital SLR, you don't have one. I've just found a Canon 700D on Facebook Marketplace in Geelong for $450.
Is that yours?
No, that's amazing. Like that's an absolute bargain. That camera is awesome. It says it's purchased a brand new camera. Here we go. I'll guarantee you I know what the description is going to say. I've never used it. Here we go. Now, hand on heart, I have just expanded. You know how it says "see more" on the description. Selling my Canon EOS 700D and Canon zoom lens 18-55 lens, as have purchased a new camera and I have never used this one much.
Here you go. I've just opened up another EOS 700D twin lens kit.
Yep. Dual
lens kit in excellent condition, barely used.
Yep. And it's just rinse and repeat. How much is that one?
$550 with two lenses.
Ridiculous. And a brilliant way to get yourself or one of your kids or a grandchild into SLR photography. Yeah. Canon 700D, just go buy one and give it to them for Christmas. They'll love you forever. They don't care that it's secondhand. They'll love it.
And this is the thing as well, and I think we're all guilty to a point of this, is that there's that you know, that gas syndrome and FOMO and all that kind of stuff. But like, I see it in my groups and I see it at camera clubs when I go and talk to them, that people just want to try and keep up with the Joneses. They want to think, you know, Bob over there's got the brand new Sony, or Julie over there's got the brand new Canon. Oh, her photos are so good. His photos are brilliant. Bullshit. It's got nothing to do with the camera. The quicker we realize this as a community, that the camera is just a tool and it's you, the photographer, that makes the photos and knowing how to edit and all that kind of stuff. The camera just captures light. That's all it does.
Yep.
So I think we've got to try and push and persuade people away from thinking that bigger is better or more expensive is going to give you better photos. We know it doesn't.
No.
It's the photographer. So spend less money on your camera gear and spend more time on practicing and experiencing and getting out there and learning and watching some YouTube clips and etc. like that. Because, it doesn't make any difference. The camera is just a tool.
No,
don't listen to Bob and don't listen to Julie. They're not that good.
That's right. Just go on. Just get on Marketplace. It's actually a cool way to just scroll through and see what's out there. And of course, I keep looking at them, going, "Yeah, I'd like to have one of those back in my bag, and one of those back in my bag." And it's a bit much actually. I'll probably end up spending all my money. But of course, the absolute massive benefit you're doing there is recycling as well. I mean, it's such a shame that these cameras. If these people don't sell these cameras, they're going to sit in a drawer for a little bit longer, and then they're going to go in the tip. They're just going to chuck them away because they can't move them. One thing I will say, a little pro tip for you: if you are looking to buy a camera from someone on Facebook Market or anywhere secondhand for that matter, get them to put the battery in and turn the camera on for you, and get them to show you a video of that happening. Quite often, cameras are left laying around with their lithium battery inside, and that battery, although the battery is still okay, it will actually drop below its usable voltage, which means that it won't have enough to turn the camera on. And that battery may need to be professionally recharged or repacked, or you might need to actually replace it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And look, you can buy, aftermarket batteries for these cameras for $30 or $40.
Yeah.
But sometimes even the user themselves, it's an innocent mistake. They don't actually realize that they haven't turned it on for a couple of years.
Yeah, that's right.
And then it just doesn't start anymore. But it's always the battery, the battery.
Yeah. I would say that if someone's not willing to go that little bit extra mile to send you more photos or send you a quick video of something like that, stay away from them. If they're
move on to someone else. Exactly.
So before we move on, if anyone has got any questions, or if they're looking to buy a new camera, or not a new camera, but they're looking just to get into it, if you, like I said, if you're new to the show and you're listening, feel free to drop us a line at dsp.com.au. There's a little question thing they can send, or send us at cam@tasphoto.com.au. If you've got any questions about something you're looking at, feel free to send us an email. I'll forward them off to Brendan, and Brendan will answer them all.
Send me the link. I'll send it to Ocean Grove Camera and Photo. I'll look at it for you. I'll tell you.
Maybe the new thing we can do is get a dsps.com.au web email.
True. And maybe we could get a DSPS marketplace going. Jeez.
Maybe I should look at the DSPS website, see if it's been updated anytime soon.
So while you were talking, Cam, I just did a quick search for one of what I consider the greatest cameras of all time, and that is the Canon 5D Mark III. Yes. There's one on Facebook Marketplace for $650. What the hell?
You should buy it.
That thing is an absolute weapon. It's got no lens, but it's for a body. That's pretty good.
Very big though.
Yeah, well, it is a big bulky camera. But if you're doing portrait work, wedding work, anything like doesn't involve hiking or getting out and about, stunning camera. Absolutely awesome piece of kit when that thing came out. Also shoots amazing video. A 7D Mark II body, brand new in box, $500. Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
Anyway, so if you would like some advice on your secondhand camera purchase, by all means, drop us a line. We'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, do it. Are we going to skip the gear talk?
Well, we probably pretty much just did it. So yes, we will. We will talk about that next time. Dear Cam's back.
Yes,
we're in the hundreds, and it's back.
102nd time.
Correct.
101st time. 102nd. I don't know.
Well, there's episode 100 and there's episode 101. Depends on what year zero is.
Yeah.
Dear Cam, should I stack my UV and CPL, circular polarizer, filter together when shooting, ? Or should I take them apart and only shoot through one? Will this affect my image quality? John from Brisbane. Hello, John from Brisbane. Hope you're enjoying the show.
Every time you do that, you sound like Daryl Summers of Hey Hey.
What's that?
Just the way you present that. Thank you. That's from John in Brisbane. You know what we need?
Should have been a voiceover man.
We need Dickie Nee. What's that?
We do.
That?
Hey, Mr. Summers.
Mr. Summers. Hey, So I would recommend against not stacking filters together, unless you're doing like
Hang on. That was a double negative. I would recommend against not. Hang on a minute. So do you do it or don't you?
I would recommend not stacking filters.
Thank you.
Unless you're stacking like circular polarizers and neutral densities and stuff like that, or grad filters.
Yep.
UV and CPL filters stacked together, I would probably say no for a couple of reasons. One, they're a pain in the ass to get apart if you screw them together too tight. That becomes a real issue. Two, you can get some issues happening with light passing through two lots of filters, especially if there's a little bit of dirt on the inside filter. You might get some reflections or some flares happening. So, and again, you're just putting extra glass in front of the light. So you're probably reducing your image quality and sharpness down a little bit. So I would say if you're going to use a CPL filter, take the UV off, put the CPL back on. I leave my CPL on a lot. I almost use it like a UV filter. And that way you're still protecting your actual element of your lens. You're just not stacking filters together. So I would say take them apart because it will affect your image quality.
Very good.
Very good.
Answered in a nutshell. I've got nothing to add to that.
What's that? This is me in a nutshell. What's that?
That's right. John from Brisbane, hopefully that answered your question. Cam did very well. Very succinct.
Thank you. Hey, I heard a new word on the Franklin River, but now
can we repeat it?
Yeah, keep talking because
I bet you heard lots of new words, Cameron.
I can't remember what it was called now. Damn it.
Okay. Well, you look it up, and I'll stretch here. Pretend that I'm saying things when I'm really not saying much at all. It's quite useless, actually, what I'm saying right now.
Someone wasn't rowing in time.
Oh.
And Wendy, who was on the boat, she said it was actually Jamie. Jamie was just fluffing around with his paddle, and she said, I can't remember what it was. He wasn't being synchronous or something, or synchronous, or can't remember what it was. It was an amazing word. I might have to look it up for the next episode. But
so he wasn't synchronized, and there's a word for that. So you're talking about the actual verb for being synchronized.
Yeah.
He wasn't being syncratic? No, that's not right.
Or synchronized.
Ooh, this is making very good radio, Cameron.
I know, it's terrible. Absolutely. It was an amazing word. I'm like, oh, okay. I've never heard that word.
All right. Well, I want you to look it up and tell us all about it.
Yeah.
Can't find it right now.
Anyway, yeah, I can't find it at the moment because that's just terrible radio, isn't it?
That's all good.
While we're still talking, I'm going to type this message to the group and see if I can get an answer.
Love it. All right, you do that. But photography horror stories. The horror story on the live show, if you haven't caught it, was an absolute perler. Sorry, I can't remember the gentleman's name who sent that in, but it was brilliant. And we want to hear your photography horror stories because people like to hear about them. We don't want the one where someone dies. All right, keep it light, people.
Well,
no, keep it light. So, photography horror story. You might have been out to take some photos of an aurora, and your camera fell down some stairs with a heavy lens with a heavy tripod attached to it. That could have happened to you. I
still don't understand how people break cameras. I've never broken one. Touch wood.
Oh, mate, I thought the same until I did it myself. It's just I think for me it was just inexperience because I don't shoot a heap at night, and this was a moonless night, and it was all I had to light me up was the stars and the aurora. And I was very excited because I was getting aurora photos. But anyway, that's fine.
I found the word.
I've now got a 7-14 lens to cover for that. Yes, go. What is the word?
Syncopated.
Really?
Syncopated. It's a musical term, but they're characterized by the displaced beats or accents so that the strong beats are weak and vice versa.
So Jamie was syncopated, or he wasn't syncopated.
He was doing something. Jamie went out early. It was quite funny to watch. He was in the front of the boat, and like usually the guy on the front of the boat sets the timing, and everyone just watches and goes with them. But he's like, "Oh, I'm on a river." Off he went, and we're like, "Hey, dude, just settle the hell down. We've got 100 kilometers to go." And then all of a sudden he just changed his rhythm. You go from fast to fast, slow, and we're like, Wendy and I looking at each other going, we can't keep up with this. So syncopated. There you go. There's the word for it. Maybe we should do a word for a week.
A photography word of the week would be awesome. Yeah, so send in your horror stories to us. Beer donations, thank you so much. Anyone who's visited dsps.com.au, we had so many people donate beer to us during the live shows.
We did.
We're set for the festive season, I think.
Yeah. I think
so
you and I are
thank
going to
you.
get drunk.
But we never ever say no to more. So if you want to donate us a beer, a jug of beer, a beer each, a slab, whatever you want to do, a 6-pack, jump over to dsps.com.au and have a look. While you're there, check out our workshops. More places sold on the workshop during our live show. So thank you for everyone who's joined in for those and who earned themselves a canvas print as well.
Yes.
So awesome. Thank you. But we've still got places on multi-day workshops and single-day workshops down here on the Ballerine.
Yep.
So by all means, jump on there. And can I please just put in one more plug for Glyn Lavender's Natural Light Portrait Workshop, which is happening on the 25th of February. The one on the 21st of January is already sold out, but the one on the 25th of February has now 3 places left out of 8, I think. So we're nearly there. So don't miss that one, folks. Take it from me. Take it from number 1 ticket holder Mel, who did some workshops with Glyn at BFOP. You don't want to miss that one.
Hey, I don't think we do any more plugs to Glyn until he can figure out what the name of this show is called.
Yeah, that's right. You've got to get him on the screen and say, "What's the name of our show?" And he wouldn't have a clue, and that's fine. Doesn't matter.
Jamie's just replied to this group message I put out there.
Yes.
So I said, "Hey Wendy, what was that word about Jamie's paddling and syncopated?" And Jamie's come back, "No, bloody awesome."
That's 2 words, Jamie.
That's 2. That's it.
Nice.
Hey, apparently Glyn and I are going to India.
Brilliant.
Yeah, in 2025. So keep an eye out for that as
2025. So not the 2024 one, the 2025 one.
Early 2025. He's locked.
Could you imagine the 3 of us in India?
Are you coming?
Maybe.
Come along.
No, if we could, let's look at the cricket schedule.
Oh,
if it happens to link up with Australia playing a game of cricket in India, how good would that be? I would love that. Would be an experience and a half. Talk about having a strong stomach, Cam. That'll test you out. India. You're going to do what Shane Warne used to do and just eat baked beans?
Baked beans, most likely. Well, the ICC Champions Trophy is in India
in 2025.
2025. When?
Hello?
I don't know.
Come on, Lucky Sevens. We can do this. Speaking of Lucky Sevens, Cameron, how is that for a segue? You are on the Big Bird on Saturday. So when this comes out, the next day you're flying to Melbourne, and then 2 days later you're off to Vegas, baby.
Yeah, I am off to Vegas. Yeah, so I'm off to Melbourne on Saturday, and then we fly out on Monday, get into LA, drive straight to Vegas, try and spend the night there uneventfully.
Yes.
And then we head off into Utah for 8 days, having a look around.
Absolutely awesome. So hopefully the next time we see you, you're on the other side of the world. So let's tee that up. I don't care. I will get up at 3 a.m. to do a podcast. It doesn't worry me.
Hopefully not on the front cover of any newspaper.
The Formula One Grand Prix in Las Vegas was absolutely amazing.
How good did it look?
It looked borderline video game. It was just amazing. Really, really cool. This is not a sports show. So can't wait to hear about your adventures over there. Can't wait to do a podcast with you from the other side of the planet. That's going to be pretty cool as well. How's technology, hey?
Yeah, it should be good. And we'll see how we go, but we'll definitely tune in at some stage.
Yes, we'll make a really cool podcast, I reckon. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to hearing about your adventures. Yes. I think we're pretty close to wrapping this show up tonight.
I think we are. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that is it. That is the podcast. That has been episode 101 of the Down South Photo Show.
Good, doesn't it? Rolls off the tongue now.
In the hundies. As I say, hit us up if you've got any questions about secondhand cameras or lenses or gear that you might be looking to buy. We'll happily cast our eye across it for you and give you the thumbs up or the thumbs down.
Sounds good. Yeah, do that.
Cool. And until then, Cameron, we'll see you from the other side of the world for episode 102.
Yes.
Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in.
That's boring.
Not saying anything else because you haven't stopped recording.
Okay, bye.